I want to say thank you to Marine X on YouTube. This is where I first found out about the Fenix Ld02 AAA flashlight, and because of his live stream, I decided to pick up one, and I do enjoy this light. So check out his YouTube channel. He's got a lot of good reviews and thoughts, and a good style of filming, and logical sense of items that he has and why he uses them. Hello and welcome. Today we'll be going over the Fenix Ld02 version 2.0 1 AAA light. This is a Cree XQE-E LED type of light, which means it's a 90 CRI / 3000 Kelvin temperature rated LED. It also comes with a 365 nanometer wavelength UV LED inside of it. It has a tail switch for one-handed operation, and it features a variety of different modes, 4 modes. Starting with the UV light at 200 milliwatts, it runs for about 3 hours on a nickel metal hydride battery. On low, it runs for 1 lumen at about 45 hours and a beam distance of 6 meters with a nickel metal hydride battery. Medium runs for 25 lumens for about 2 hours and 55 minutes at 27 meters. And finally, we have a high output at 70 lumens for about 45 minutes at about 48 meters approximately. It's impact resistant to 1 meter and waterproof for IP68 underwater at about 2 meters. The size is 92 millimeters in length by 13.5 millimeters in diameter, or 3.62 inches by 0.53 inches. The weight's going to be 24 grams or 0.85 ounces without the battery. Here on the table we can see the box that this comes in, warranty card, spare O-ring, in a plastic bag. We have the 2 AAA batteries that come with the light itself here with the pocket clip installed on it, and we have the user manual here. Here we have the Ld02. We can see the anodized body here with a little bit of texturing on the main body and also the head here, which is good for gripping. We can see the metal boot cap here, which covers the rubber boot cap inside, and we can see the pocket clip here, which has a good retention and is secure to the body itself. On the headlight, we can see the TIR optic inside with the main LED, and also to the side we have the UV LED inside there as well. If we take this off, we can see the O-ring here in the center, and we can see the threading here on the aluminum body. And we take out our AAA here, and I'll get another light so we can see the head unit here. It's got some decent contact points on the head unit up there. And we can also see inside the body here. So we can target the spring. It's good quality inside of there. Makes good contact with the batteries. Let's put this together and go over the UI modes. So this has 4 different modes, and you can rotate the UI. It's pretty simple. It also has memory mode and a thermal throttling for high mode. So we are in, let's set it for medium mode here. So this is what medium mode looks like. And if you turn it off and wait a few seconds and you turn it back on, it'll come back on in the same mode that you left it at. Now if you do this pretty quickly, it'll switch as you just saw before. You can half press and change the modes like that as well, instead of fully depressing the switch. On high mode here, this will shoot out 70 lumens, and due to thermal heating, it will throttle it down to about 50 lumens or so. We're going to get some beam shots here in a moment and go over the TIR optic. Okay, we're back shooting an aperture of 2.8, 24 frames per second. ISO is 200 with a white balance of 5000K on a Panasonic GH2 12 to 35 millimeter lens on the wide end. Here on the table we can see the light in low mode, and we have the Oppo Lightmaster Pro here, and our measuring lux here, and CCT and COI rating. So we're only going to go maybe about 1.5 feet, 2 feet off the table here, shine it into the sensor, and on low we're getting a reading of about 100 lux or so. We're going to restart our machine here for a moment. So about 100 lux, about 27K in terms of temperature rating, and 95-ish COI rating, which is very good. Let's go to medium mode here. And now we're up to about 2000K or so, and about the same amount of CCT, 28K. Same thing with the CRI at about 95. Let's go to high mode here. Now we just shot up to 6600 lux or 7000 thereabouts, and we're about 29K in terms of temperature rating, and about the same for CRI rating at 94.6. Let's go over the UV mode here. I don't think you can see it on the camera here, but this does feature a 365 nanometer UV light. And our settings for the camera, we're not going to be picking up a whole lot of light activity with this UV light here. But there's the LED in the light. One of the main reasons why we picked up this light here. Let's go over the beam profile real quick while we have this out. So on the table, you can see that it is a very warm 3000K-ish or close to beam here. And in the center, we have a nice hot spot. And then on the side, we have a spill out. Now, there are artifacts in the center of the beam here. I don't know if you can see it on the camera. And there is a little bit of artifacting on the actual spill itself. Let's make that to medium, and maybe you can see it a little bit better. As you can see, it gets hotter in the center, and more spills out of the light here from the TIR optic. Let's go to high here. And we'll bring it out further from the table. Back to low. So you can kind of see the yellowing here. Now, I don't know if that's just the way it goes for the construction of the TIR optic with the UV LED inside, but there will be artifacting inside of this, just as a heads up. Overall, I like the Fenix Ld02 version 2 1AAA light. It's got a nice array of options and sizing to go with it, and a strong pocket clip, a nice metal boot cap, and good heat sinking abilities for when it's on high mode, and decent run times for the modes that it runs on. The fact that it has a 365 nanometer wavelength UV LED inside of it pushes this thing into a territory which is very practical for my needs. That being said, some of the negative things I found about this light is the apparent artifacts that are in the beam here. I am a snob when it comes to flashlights, so things like that are kind of reminiscent of lower quality type of lights or craftsmanship. I feel like for the price of $30, they should have rectified that with this type of light. The TIR optic does a decent job of throwing the light out and even putting out the light of the UV LED as well. Even though there's artifacts with that, it's not so much of a big deal to me because it still functions pretty well for a UV light. I also feel like that this light might be a little bit too long for a AAA classification light. I understand why it's the size it is because of this pocket clip here. Some lights I have are really too short where the pocket clip connects to the twisting head unit, so it scratches up the finish. This one's a slight bit longer, so I feel like they could maybe shave off like 1/4 of an inch and reduce the sizing profile of the light. You can still tail stand this light, but it's a bit tricky with the metal boot cap, but it is doable. I feel like the run times are very decent for the modes, especially at 1 lumen. You get a lot of runtime with this light, and even the medium modes is probably the most used modes on most of my lights that I have. And especially with this one, it's about 2 hours and approximately 55 minutes of runtime with the nickel metal hydride battery. That's definitely a good runtime for a small, pocketable EDC light. One thing to be said about the switch in the back is that it can be easily accessed on once in your pocket, so that is something to consider. Now, if you plan on putting this in a pouch like I'm going to do, it may not be an issue, but if you plan on carrying it in your pocket, it may be easily turned on. So keep that in mind. So for a recommendation for an improved or upgraded unit, I recommend building a chassis around this button so it becomes harder to push accidentally, but still reliably pushed when you want to activate it. The UI sequence is basic and simple and straightforward. I like the fact that it has a memory mode to it. I like the feeling and fit and finish of the case. I feel like that's a pretty premium feel. Overall, it's a good light with the exception of the artifacts in the beam itself. I feel like with that, they could have fixed that for the price of $30. And if not, I feel like this could probably drop down to about maybe $20 in value because of that. Overall, I recommend it for somebody who doesn't care about beam profile, artifacts, things like that, and they just want a good high CRI light with a functional UV light and a modular battery system, meaning a AAA battery where you can find it and replace it in any stores. This will be a good light to look at. And that's all I have to say about the Fenix Ld02 for now. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you for watching.